Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. This is Alessandra from FindYourWay Coaching in Zurich, and today I'm here with Flooris van der Walt from South Africa, psychologist and coach. Thank you so much for being here.
Great to be with you, Alexandra. Thanks for inviting me.
You're very welcome. So today we're going to go through a topic which is very, very close to my heart, being a coach and also having some experience with the psychology world. I really want to clear up the differences between coaching and psychotherapy. So we take this mission together and we have prepared a set of questions for you and we're going to go through that. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's start.
Fantastic. So the first question would be, what do you think is the goal of psychotherapy?
Good. I'm going to start with a bit of a theoretical explanation. Psycho comes from the Greek word psyche and means soul. And therapy comes from the Greek word therapeia, which means helping, caring, also supporting. So combining the two, in my mind, it is the support or the caring of the soul. And of course, caring for the soul, it goes deep, it goes into the person, it addresses the needs, the anxieties of people. It also is a longer term development of the person inside him or herself, meaning dealing with the soul of the person.
Wow, wonderful. Thank you so much for clearing that. It's very interesting. And what would be on the other end, the goal of coaching?
And there the coaching in my mind is a developmental aspect of an individual. It focuses on something that needs to be achieved, needs to be reached in a different state of mind. Yes, there can be transformation, that can be direction changes in there as well, but it's almost as if the goal setting is clearer than in psychotherapy with coaching. You also get very similar in psychotherapy or in psychology, we call it counseling, which is very similar to the coaching where you actually support the person to develop in a very specific area to a very specific defined goal or new state of that person. Wonderful.
And on these lines, I would like also to address something that I think it's very important for all of us out there, for the community. I think coaching has been the object of stigma. I get this feeling in my environment a lot. This is why we want to talk about that a little bit more. So if you could actually stress the differences between coaching and psychotherapy, maybe using a metaphor like driving a car, what would you say about it?
Yeah, well, in my mind, let's take the example of Uber and a taxi. If you take Uber, you've got the app, you put in the app where you want to go, and the Uber driver arrives with you. So the Uber driver already has a clear understanding of where you want to go. And that to me is very much coaching. So again, the goal setting is clearly defined. Of course, during the ride, the driver can hit a traffic jam and has to divert or has to look for better ways to get to the destination. Also in coaching, you have to be with your coachee, constantly looking where the coachee is and direct the coaching to the goals that you want to achieve. Whereas in psychotherapy, it's almost like a taxi stand. First, you have to know where the taxi stand is. So you have to go to the taxi stand. You go to a taxi, and once you're in the taxi, you only say what your destination would be. So you only start then to explore the symptoms. And with the therapist, you then explore where does the symptom come from? So what are the routes to be taken? Of course, the taxi driver can also get into a total traffic jam, look at alternatives, explore with you. Are you in a hurry? Do you need to go straight, or can we do some other explorations? But in my mind, it is more for a coach, and in Uber, it's a fairly clear, defined goal set I want to get to. Whereas in psychotherapy, it is not that clear. It is the whole person is involved, and that clearness is not given for me.
Thank you. I really like this metaphor, because in a way, then we're also saying that they are both valid.
Absolutely. I mean, and as we know that both are functioning side by side these days. So again, there's people that take Uber and other people that take taxis, and no one is right or wrong. It is what you want to achieve, where you want to achieve it, from which choice you take.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So moving on to the next question, which is for me something that I was really curious about. Based on your experience, would you say that psychotherapy creates more or less dependency than coaching? Meaning, does the client develops this kind of dependency? That's a little bit like also a urban legend on this, that we keep coming and going to psychotherapy or to coaches, and this does not have an end. How does it look to you?
In my mind, it's not, the dependency does not differentiate between coaching or psychotherapy. Dependency is created by the coach or the psychotherapist, meaning the persons who are doing or delivering the service. If there is a coach that creates a dependency between him, her, or the coachee, that coachee will become dependent on the coach, and the same counts for a psychotherapist who creates certain dependencies with the clients or patients, and that to keep the patient. Now, in my mind, that is where the professionalism and the training, professional training, really makes a difference, because both coaches and psychotherapists are trained not to create those dependencies.
Wonderful. Yeah.
And therefore, it's really important that when you look for a coach, make sure that either your coach or psychotherapy is fairly well controlled through standards and registrations.
Right.
But if you look for a coach, make sure that your coach is well trained, is at least registered with a international body or a recognized body like the ICF.
Yeah.
And make sure that you get the right professional support from a coach or a psychotherapist, for that matter.
Of course, and thank you so much for clearing that up, because I think that's really a little bit the problem with the bad reputation that coaching has had during the past years. I still have this feeling, a little bit of a provocative question is coming up. I keep hearing, anyone can be a coach. And I really disagree with that, but I want to hear your take on this.
Yeah, no, I don't believe everybody can be a coach. And of course, through the fact that coaching is not yet a professional occupation, it is very little controlled, or the standards, the quality standards are actually not defined in all coaching areas. So what we see is happening is through this non-professional movement, that there are coaches on the market who, from my perspective, should never have been a coach, but because of careers that didn't work out, or they couldn't find a new job, they just become a coach. And some of them are really not conducive to the reputation of coaches or coaching. And that's a pity, because there are very good coaches that are well trained, very professionally trained, and for those people, there is no question in their professionalism, in their quality standards. And I think those type of people, when you look for a coach, just make sure you get one professional coach. Unfortunately, till the market is regulated with a professional standard and the occupation is regulated, we're going to have quite a bit of people that should never have been coaches.
Thank you so much for orienting us, because this is also one of the goals of this interview. It's very, very important. So talking about, how coaches are working, how psychotherapists are working, Can we both work together? And if yes, can you explain us how?
Oh, absolutely. I very much believe that the two professions can work together. If there's a psychotherapist and working on the soul and really get the growth of the person, and one realize that during this process there are very specific areas, say for instance in career or in health management, wellness is the word I'm looking for, wellness management, or even in how to deal with groups.
Yeah.
You can really put those person in contact with a professional coach, and the coach can take over and direct those people in a very specific way to make the right decision. On the other hand, again, I also believe that if coaches get to a situation where they realize this person's problem going far deeper than I thought.
Correct.
And it's not just achieving a goal, but there is some psychodynamics that are interfering with the decision making or even the direction, then I presume such coaches will refer the client or the coachee to a psychotherapist. Yeah. I mean, in Switzerland, we already have an organization that work with both the Swiss Society for Coaching Psychologists, where the two are already combined, where psychologists are doing coaching and looking at the combination of the two professions.
That's a very great tip for our audience. So again, the Swiss Society for Coaching Psychology, you can look it up. I think it's very interesting for our professions. So talking about our profession, I really work a lot with the book, which is called The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem, and I love it. The author is Nathaniel Branden, who was himself a psychotherapist. And he gives a wonderful definition of psychotherapy's goal. And I would like if you agree with this definition. So I'm going to read that to you. Psychotherapy has 2 basic goals. One is the alleviation of suffering. The other is the facilitation and enhancement of well-being. It encourages the learning of new skills and better strategies for dealing with self and with others.
Yep. Now, if we look at the suffering, yes, psychotherapy is very much, because right in the beginning we said psychotherapy is working with the soul, and if you look at the suffering of people, it very often comes from the soul. So very much a deep understanding of suffering, and therefore, yes, psychotherapy support the suffering or the less suffering of the person. But it's interesting, Benton also mentioned that for him the self-esteem and love is on the same level, because he believes that if you can't love yourself, you can't really project any feelings or love to other people. So I very much believe, again, the psychotherapy is going into the soul of the individual, so that is healthy and well created before you can go out to other people and support them or be with them, or even, as he said, love them. So absolutely, very much believe in his definition of psychotherapy. Yes.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that too. And something also very interesting that I'm curious about. So what about the past? Because, with my clients, well, of course, during a coaching session, we talk about the past. That's normal. But that's not the main focus of attention, because coaching is very much goal-oriented, and it looks a lot into the future and in the potential, right? So what is your view on that? Does psychotherapy look to the past more than coaching or not?
Again, I think to differentiate on that, it's not necessarily the difference between coaching and psychotherapy. It is what kind of coaching and what kind of psychotherapy you do. If you, again, look at coaching in a sense of career coaching, or you do in a sense of performance coaching, then sure, you have to look at the past, where the person comes from, what skills set the person has, or what influenced the performance in the past, to go into the future with the coachee. And the same, so the coach will look at the past, but the coach can also be a wellness coach or a communication coach, where he or she will not look into the past. It doesn't matter where you were yesterday. I want to better you for the future. So then you look very futuristic and work from the present into the future. And I think it's very similar with psychotherapy. If one is a behavioral psychotherapist, you look at the present behavior and you develop a futuristic behavior that will fit where you want to get to or fit the purpose of the person. But if you are a psychodynamic or a psychoanalyst, then you very much go into the past and try to analyze what happened in the past before you even go to the future. In certain instances, you might just stay in the past and believe the patient or the client, him or herself, will develop their own future. So it's not whether it's coaching or psychotherapy. I think it's very much on which school you attend, so how you were trained, but also on your own view or person or world view, how you see the world, that very much dictate to you where you are and what kind of therapist you are or what kind of coach you are and how you go about with the situation.
This is really very inspiring. Thank you. And you made me think of something, because the importance of training really and of learning is nowadays so important. And talking about training, it comes to mind the mental health first aid training that I'm part of. So mental health, is a hot topic right now. It's a very important topic currently. So do you know this program, Mental Health First Aid?
Tell me more.
Yes, I want to tell you a little bit about it. So as most of you also know, ensa Switzerland is the program here in the country for mental health first aid. Basically, we provide the mental health first aiders with the tool to engage in conversations with people who might be developing the first signs of having mental illnesses. And this is very, very important because, like the first aid course that you do for physical health, this can totally be applied to the mental health concept. And actually, it is important to have a talk to the person, first of all, to have the tools to be able to even engage in a conversation nowadays, which seems so hard, right?
Very often it's very difficult for people to just get started with the conversation, yes.
Exactly, absolutely. And I think that you would make an excellent first aider for mental health. What do you say?
Well, let's give it a try.
Well,
thanks.
Thank you again so much for being here today at the interview. And if you like this video, please put a like here on the Find Your Way Coaching channel. And we will see each other again with more interviews. And thank you so much again to you, Flooris van der Walt. And we will also write an article about this. And don't forget to share. And we really hope that this was a learning moment for you too.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank you. Goodbye. Bye.
Thanks.